Ah, yes, the VR community with 400 quest updates a week, clickbaity titles, and a general sense of existential dread. Anyway.
Yes, it's another week of VR news. With yet another update in the form of the v68 PTC, Bonelab also moves into its next patch, patch 5, and we take a closer look at a new game engine that could change VR forever. But first, let's talk about the Meta Quest 4. So if you love leaks, you'll love this next bit of juicy gossip, and that's because the Quest roadmap over the next few years has just recently leaked. And what makes these leaks extra crispy is that Boz also had an interview just recently on the future of what he thinks the Quest platform will be, so the two tie nicely together. Now, the timeline leaks about the Quest 4 and other models is from 3 separate Meta employees. According to the report, in 2026, the Quest 4 will be released in 2 variants, a standard model and a premium model, codenamed Pismo Low and Pismo High. So to imagine this is the next generation of the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S. In 2027, Meta plans to ship a high-end Quest headset codenamed La Hola. Now initially I thought this would have been a headset that LG was working on, but apparently Meta reportedly began working on the Quest Pro 2 back in November independently. And I'm not gonna lie, it's getting kind of confusing. So Meta is essentially making a low tier and a high tier Quest and another ultra high tier Quest. It sounds a little messy, but Boz helps us out in the general direction they are taking this. As to the specs about the new headsets in the interview, he basically envisions what the Quest headset will be like by 2031. He predicts a resolution of 50 to 60 pixels per degree compared to today's 25 ppd. The field of view is expected to be taller rather than wider, as apparently this is the more immersive route, which I'm sure most of us will disagree, but it's only a small minority of us that have actually tried larger field of views anyway. Weight gain again could be reduced by 100 to 200 grams, and this prediction might be based on the holocake lens design, which is a holographic pancake lens. The refresh rate will likely remain at 120Hz, balancing performance with power consumption. Bosworth also emphasises the importance of standalone functionality, advanced stereoscopic audio, and glaze-based foveated rendering to optimise performance without compromising experience. So all in all, pretty standard increases, so really that's what we can expect from the future iterations of Quest. The most interesting one to me is how they can get mixed reality to look more like reality. And now you can have boundless mixed reality experiences due to the updated experimental support for mixed reality. It's only a matter of time before we get Pokemon Go-like experiences for our headsets. Now, for those who'd like multiple nerdgasms, and before I touch on the v68 Quest update, I want to show you some more developer-orientated updates to the Depth API, aka occlusion. Now, the development of occlusion is the holy grail for immersive mixed reality. To have your worlds seamlessly blend and converge with the digital world is a dream I've had for the longest time, and usually Figmin XR is the place I go to get my fix. But well, it looks like included with the most recent v67 update, there has been a significant change to the API that allows for easier integration of occlusion with more accuracy, and it also uses less computation, so basically a win-win-win for the mixed reality developer community. Playing on screen now is a snippet of the updated API, and you can clearly see how incredibly accurate this is with full arm occlusion. It's scary how fast we are moving towards this mixed reality future, and soon it's going to be hard to distinguish the two realities. But now onto the v68 update. Now, I'm not going to pretend this is a huge or game-changing update, because it's not, and it's literally only been a few weeks from the last update. The more interesting elements are the things behind the scenes, and so I'll get to that after I quickly just list the new features. So the v68 update improves on a few things like theatre mode panels. Theatre view panels now can move back and forth. Theatre view mode now has dimming in pass-through, and it can also be viewed in 180 mode. And you can also change audio channels for recording options. Theatre mode is actually pretty good, and it's had a big push from Meta advertisement over the last few months, which you've probably seen already. But I believe the strings revealed by Luna are giving us hints to a more Horizon-based Worlds OS, as by this new intro that the Quest 3 and Quest 3S will get on first boot up. focus is shifting towards Horizon Worlds being more the main platform going forward, and even the app icon has recently changed along with the app aesthetics to move to a more Horizon Worlds look. And I'm going to be honest here, Horizon Worlds isn't actually terrible. I've been trying out a few experiences inside Horizon Worlds, and some have access to asset uploading, so the experiences are not what you remember. Just recently I tried this Titanic experience, where you go through the entire scene of hitting the iceberg, orchestra playing, and even the ship splitting in half. VR games and experiences are definitely evolving, and one game in particular, more recently, is Bonelab. But quickly, before a word from today's sponsor. Aubika is a company I've used for a while for my Quest accessories, mainly for this incredible Daft Punk style charging dock, the Cybercore. And recently they sent me some rechargeable Quest controllers, which were perfect for me as I was having issues where my controllers kept running out of battery. These grips have a handy knuckle style strap, and they also make the controllers slightly longer than the original. I think what makes these more interesting than other controller grips is you don't have to swap out batteries, and the USB-C plug is quite literally right at the bottom. And so these plug and fit nicely into the Cybercore or any other standard USB-C plug. If you want to check them out, I'll leave the links in the description. But now back to Bonelab. A few days ago, patch 5 was released, and I'll go through all the changes and what this actually means for the average player. First up, we got Zone Aggro. Now, enemies in mod levels will react when you fire a gun or make noise. This means no more sneaking around unnoticed. Your enemies will be on high alert, making for a more immersive and challenging experience. Next, we have Surface Data Cards. These define how surfaces react to impacts visually and physically. While the full implementation will continue in future patches, this update starts to bring more realism to our interactions with different surfaces, so expect better visual effects when you smash, crash or bash into things. Another addition is Spawn Force. This feature applies a directional and angular velocity to spawn objects and enemies. Imagine crates and enemies flying out dynamically in different directions, adding another layer of chaos and realism. For all the modders out there, we got new grid walls and materials. These new prefabs and materials cleanup paths will help levels look more consistent and perform better, so cleaner visuals and faster load times. The player rig has also seen some love. The adjustments make the arm and hand tracking more realistic, giving you better sense of physicality and control in the game. Your avatar movements are now more in sync with your real life motions basically. Visual effects also got a cleanup, making particle effects and impact visuals more consistent. The polish ensures everything looks good and feels good to play, and also tons of optimizations and bug fixes. Patch 5 brings a smaller game size, reduced loading times, and fixes issues for like weapon handling and audio bugs. All these improvements make the game smoother and more enjoyable. Lastly, the SDK enhancements mean quicker and easier level creation for modders. More tools at your disposal lead to more and better mods for everyone to enjoy. So basically, Bonelab is evolving, and hopefully in the following months and years the team can move Bonelab into a place that we all anticipated all those years ago. But the thing that frustrates me more than anything is, yes, Bonelab has a good engine, things feel good when moving around and interacting with physical objects, but why are systems like this not universal? We only have to make one good physical interaction framework once, but unfortunately most companies want to keep this to themselves. Well, it looks like this could actually be a problem of the past with a developer called Nimso VR. Now, if you're interested in this sort of thing, I highly recommend you check out his channel, because he's going to town when it comes to creating the perfect framework for VR movement. He's basically taking what Bonelab did with the interaction framework and dialing it up to 11 and doing it solo. The thing that's most incredible about what he's doing is he's tackling each problem one by one. So climbing, wearing different avatars, strength, height, legs, and basically everything else. He's been working on this for a few years now and hopes of releasing his own game, and once that's done he intends to basically sell the framework to other developers to use, which means if he does, could bump every VR game that requires interaction like Bonelab up to a whole new level that could really give a new level of consistency when it comes to playing VR games, which is definitely needed. I'll leave his channel down in the description if you'd like to check him out, because it's really incredible what he's working on. But it is difficult to get the motion and physics right in VR, and sometimes what looks good and what plays good are two completely different things. Like Attack on Titan, for example. There are plenty of fan-made VR creations out there, and they set a visual standard for this game. and it was just unrealistic for the average consumer. I for one can't experience any rotation inside VR or I'm gone. And that's why I think the initial reception of the official Attack on Titan game was poor. Yes, the visuals weren't perfect, but the movement didn't compare to some of these other fan-made creations. But that was until everyone got their hands on it early, and now it seems that the general gameplay is actually pretty good. It's strong IPs like that help sell games like Attack on Titan, and most recently we've seen some IPs like Destiny work their way into Rec Room using the new Rec Room Studio.
You're gonna need this.
And the same also goes to SpongeBob, making its way into Power Wash Simulator and Epic Roller Coasters. It makes VR feel more like the Oasis. And now that Horizon Worlds is evolving, maybe it won't be too long till we get to that point. Anyway, if you fancy some cool free games, like the Titanic experience, check out my last video where I go over some of them. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's video, and as always, I'll catch you on the next one.